Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Monday, the 20th day of November, 2023. Well, I've got the reading ready here. I'm not going to be here on Thursday because that's Thanksgiving and I'm going to be cooking, so I won't be able to do this. So we'll just have one reading this week. It'll have to suffice for the whole week. And then we'll be back again. I'll be back again on Monday. If this is your first time here, welcome. I appreciate you coming by. And if you've come back, thank you so much. And I hope you'll click subscribe and join me on normally Mondays and Thursdays to take a look at how runes and tarot can influence the decisions we make and maybe give us a little bit more insight about something that we're dealing with that maybe we just hadn't thought of before. I'm not really about predictions. I'm not saying, okay, such and such is going to happen. I don't do that. I just look at these as influences. And I think that when we do that, it's just things to consider, basically. Maybe advice in a way, but yet not such an intentional thing, just for you to consider. Let's take a look at, let's see, we're the 20th, so we have a 2 numerology for the day. And then we have we'll go on as we progress here to talk about the numerology of the runes, of the Elder Futhark rune anyway, and then also of the cards. So we start with Gebo. Gebo is the 7th rune of the Elder Futhark, and it's about balanced energy exchange. It's the gift of reciprocity. It's marriage. It's partnership. It's a link. It's made up of, you can look at it 2 ways. You can look at it as Isa, which is a straight line, crossed. That would represent Isa, which is the Norn rune of the static realm or the present moment. So it's a very moment to moment type of an experience. It's but then expanded outward, then, it's basically your focus in life is essentially balanced energy exchange with others. Another way of looking at this is also Kenaz, all over the place, expanded outward. And Kenaz is essentially the 6th rune. It's the rune right before Gebo. And you're looking at, I'll explode this out for you so you can see it. Kenaz is like a V-shaped, turned on its side. This would be Kenaz right here. But you can see, like, with Kenaz meaning the torch or the light of spirit or clarity, if you think of it in terms of a flashlight beam, it radiates outward, doesn't it? And that's the idea of the higher self radiating outward in your relationships with other people. So it's a very intentional type of directionality with the energy of Gebo here. So basically you're radiating in all directions. Everything that comes from you is balanced energy exchange or the gift of reciprocity coming from higher awareness. And then that would be the above side of things, the higher self side of things. The below side of things, or the ego side, would be poor. Or, I'm sorry, not poor, but Puella. This is poor. This is Puella. Poor and Puella are youthful energies. Poor would be the little boy energy, lack of impulse control and all of that. But Puella is a little more uplifting. It's the scattered little girl energy. She's very curious. I've talked about myself being a Puella growing up, always interested in knowing everything, focus going everywhere because life is just so interesting, And my granddaughter is also a little Puella as well, very interested in everything going on. So that kind of gives you the idea. They can focus, but obviously, because it's like I've said this before, a little girl following a butterfly in a meadow, instead of looking at the flowers and everything else and really where she's going, she's watching that butterfly and following it. That would be an example of a very positive, uplifting, youthful female energy. And so I don't think that they disagree with one another, the 2 runes. I just think that maybe you're looking at maybe a little lost focus there, but yet lost focus due to excitement and wanting to know more. So we'll see where all this goes here today. I drew 3 cards for the reading today, the Hierophant, the 7 of Pentacles, and the Emperor. And whenever I draw two, at least two, well, in a case of a 3-card reading, whenever I have 2 major arcana cards, those are soul archetype. And so that's higher awareness. It's the lessons that we come in, the overall theme of lessons we come in to learn about and experience. Well, when I look at the 7, it tells me that there's some guidance here of for the 7 of Pentacles. And so let's take a look at it first. So now with the 7 and the 5 and the 4, for the cards, we're going to have an overall numerology with Gebo of 5, all right, for today. And then if you were to combine it with today's numerology of 2, that would be a 7, but we're not going to do that. But there's an interesting pattern there with the 2, because you're talking about balance as well with the 2, and that's reducing 20 to 2. 2 plus 0 is 2. And so that with reduction, that's how you come up with the numerology of anything. You just start adding the number itself together, or a group of numbers together, and then the final number you add together, and there's your numerology. Well, 2 is about balance. It's about decisions and also reciprocity. It's about depending on which suit of the tarot it's attached to, it can be a decision that has to be made. It can be, but again, it's mostly about balance. It can be about healing and love and all of that as well. But reciprocity, when you look at the 2 of Cups, there's a feeling of reciprocity and healing there with the 2. So I think that the 2 aligns very well with Gebo, even though Gebo's the 7th rune of the Elder Futhark. It still is about letting things come to a rest and settle out. The same is true here, I think, for the 7 of Pentacles. You see a farmer standing on next, kind of leaning on his hoe. He's looking at the pile of grapevines there, or the wall of grapevines. I don't think he's harvested at this. You'd see a harvest full of grapes if that were the case, like baskets, or maybe they would be on the ground, but back in the day. But now you'd put them into baskets and carry them in. But here I think you're looking at just probably one end of a big long grapevine thing that they've got growing. I have mine growing up over netting and all of that, and then I also have some growing over. In fact, it's almost covered my probably a third of my dome greenhouse. I have a living cover on it, and it's grapes. So anyway, it's fun picking them, trust me. But anyway, because the dome is actually quite tall, and so but anyway. You're looking at the farmer's taking a look at what he's got. You see the coins sort of embedded in the grape area there. But when you look at Pentacles, you're talking about material security. You're talking about finances and money, income, abundance. But you're also talking about, given it's the earth element that we're dealing with here with Pentacles, you're also dealing with someone's life, their whole life. And does he have enough to get through? Generally speaking, you look at this at the end of the season, and do I have enough to make it through the season? Or maybe 2/3 of the way through, you kind of take stock. How am I doing? Or maybe, well, I mean, I do that all summer long, and so does my husband. But how much are we going to have? It's like, oh gosh, nothing's going. What's going on? Do we need to fertilize more? What do we need to do to make this a better harvest for us in the end? And basically with the 7, he's taking stock of what he's got and what he thinks he's going to have for the winter. At this point, can he tell how much am I really going to have? But it's that feeling of standing back and taking a look at everything and letting all the facts of something settle in, so that you can look at it all as one big picture. And that's the idea behind the 7. And again, with Gebo, aligning with Gebo, the whole idea of balanced energy exchange. Do I have enough to provide for other people, also for myself, but also for others, right? So there's that reciprocity, that's the interrelationship. Especially if you're talking about Gebo as the rune of partnership or marriage, do I have enough for my family? And so that's the idea of sitting back and taking stock, and did I do well enough? With the Hierophant, Now you're looking at, this is a 5 numerology for the card. You can see the Pope or the priest sitting between two pillars. You see the monks down at his feet. You see the same type of raiment here and here that's here, only this is a little bit different. It's a higher rank, if you will. The Pope holds his fingers up like this to spirit, to heaven. He holds his scepter in his other hand. You see some triplicity here, some triplicity here, and some triplicity here. You also see it here with the crosses coming down on his little, I'm not sure what it's called. I just called it a raiment, but we'll see. Maybe someone else has an idea of that. You also see 2 more crosses, 1 on each foot here, 1 on each shoe, and so there's your 5 here. It's the idea again. It's not really. One of them looks like just a regular cross even, but then the other 2, the horizontal line is up a little further, like you would see with the Christian cross. But he sits between 2 pillars, and anytime you see 2 of anything in a tarot card, you're talking about balance. So again, there's some elements of balance here with this card as well. But you're looking at divine wisdom, idealism, mastery, hidden knowledge, and a teacher. So either the guy, the farmer in the 7 needs to draw from higher awareness here, or he needs to find a teacher that can help guide him a little bit. I remember when we first moved here back in 81, I think it was that first summer, I think it was, I consulted with a guy at the extension service in town because we had an office here, and because it's kind of a farming area in a way, not as much now as it used to be, but I mean it is around, especially if you go further north. There's a lot of farming there, but basically I asked for help because things didn't look right, and I had never grown anything in this area, and I just wasn't aware. I also had a older couple at a feed store where I'd go buy my onion sets, and I did that for years until they retired and didn't have that anymore. But they had other things too. But they explained to me, I'm getting the biggest ones I can get. They're like, you know what? They're all going to grow to the big onion. Don't worry. You'll get more if you get smaller ones. In other words, right? And so I had all of this guidance from people that were more than happy to help. And that's what I found, and I think that what the Hierophant is suggesting here is either draw from the inner mastery that you already have, or if not, then you might want to go ask for some advice to make sure, what do you think? Do you think I have enough? What do I need to do to increase my yield? And again, this doesn't have to apply to your garden or to your farm. This can apply to anything that you're trying to grow, right? And in terms of maybe whether it's your job, or do you need more experience? Do you need more education? Whatever it is, whatever you're trying to deal with, if you're not sure about where you are in something, maybe go ask for some advice. And it could be just something as simple as that, to protect what you have. Again, 5 is about change. It's about innovation. It's about freedom versus restriction, but it's also about protection. And knowledge is power. You look at, you see the crossed keys here, knowledge and tradition. It's all about, if you could go and ask someone who's doing the same kind of work as you're doing, for example, or that you want to do, and there's your tradition part of it. But you're gaining knowledge anyway from either what you already know, and you're putting together, after you let everything settle out and you see all the facts and you understand what's going on, you can draw from your own experience, your own education, your own awareness, or you can go seek out somebody who can help you with that and provide the kind of advice that you need to keep your perspective in the direction it needs to go. All right. And that would be an example of Gebo. It would be an example of that, so that you can, and then with Puella, you would happily accept that advice. You wouldn't resist it. It would be, thank you, thank you so much for sharing that. And you'll find that even if you can't do everything the way they say, you can glean something from it at least that would apply to your own situation, kind of like the reading. You can glean from this something that will apply to your own circumstance. But again, don't be afraid to ask for advice. And then express your inner authority. Here we have the Emperor, the fourth card of the major arcana. And we have the Emperor sitting on his throne. Either he's ready for battle or he's just come back. I don't know. But he's in a battle attire, and he's probably is with this. The rest of him is probably in his suit of armor as well. But he's got his red cape or red cloak over it. Lots of power there. You see, but you also see an interesting balance. You see a balance between maybe one side of the power, which is maybe a little bit more receptive, and here you have more projective with the yellow. Here, this would be his right hand, and so his right hand would be the masculine side of self or the projective side of self, and the left hand would be again aligning with the receptive or feminine side of self. So the Emperor has some sort of balance there to keep him structured. 4 is about structure and foundation. It's also kind of an earthy number. It would align very well with Pentacles in that regard, because Pentacles is the earth element. But here with the Emperor, you're talking about masculine energy, you're talking about authority, the father aspect, you're talking about pragmatism and structure, ambition, discipline, reason, all of that. And so perhaps the message you're going to get here is buckle down, and you don't have a whole lot of time left really with the harvest, with what you're doing here. So take stock of what you have, access your own inner awareness once you get it all out there and you can see the way it is. Look at everything in a very pragmatic way, to where you can see what you have, see how it blends together and harmonizes together with everything else, and then use that inner authority to act in a way that makes certain that you have enough. So again, you're going to be looking at this with discipline and reason and pragmatism, stability. How do you manifest that? And I think that to do that, you have to take what you've learned and what you've gained and act with your inner authority to make it happen. You're the one in charge, basically. You're the one in charge of how this outcome is going to be, essentially. And I realize, there are environmental issues and there are other kinds of things in terms of a garden harvest and a farm harvest and all of that, or a grape harvest in this card. But whatever it is you're growing, whatever it is you're trying to create, whatever it is you want to manifest, whatever success you want to have, take stock of what you have. Make sure you understand all factors involved. If you need assistance, go get some assistance from somebody else. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't let your ego be so strong that it's like, well, I know everything. I don't need to ask for help. And besides, nobody's going to help me anyway. Well, that's not true. Just in the examples I gave, people were very, very happy to come and help me and answer questions. It doesn't matter. After I stopped going to the older couple weren't there anymore. I started going to the local greenhouse, and those folks were outstanding, and they were always helpful. And gave me all kinds of information about the area and what I could do to maximize my yields and things like that. Well, the same is true for anything that you're doing. You want to be successful. If you don't think you have all the facts after looking at what you've got, then go and ask for help. Find somebody to help you that has more experience. And from there, act in a way that's pragmatic, that's in service to what you're doing. Don't get so far out on the ledge that it compromises or risks your success. But at the same time, look at this in a very reasoned, structured way with an eye towards stability, and be very disciplined in what you're doing so that you are successful in what you're trying to do. And again, this is about farming, but it can apply to anything that any endeavor you're embarking on, to make sure that you're not so hot, the pie in the sky, with Puella, and so scattered that you don't see the little nuanced stuff that you're missing. And that may be, what you end up having to ask for help on. What am I not seeing here? I don't feel like I'm completely going to be successful here. So what part am I missing? What can I do to make this more reliable and provide more stability and on that road to success? And then again, act with reason, act with discipline, act with pragmatism. You have the ambition there with the emperor, but at the same time, it can't all be about ambition. You have to be able to see things with an overall perspective, and I think that's what the 7 is telling us here. So again, balanced energy exchange may be like that here, doing it in a way that's balanced enough that you're not getting out ahead of yourself, and you're not so focused on your ambition that you miss things along the way that can really impact manifesting the success that you want from that. And again, balanced energy exchange with others, reciprocity with Gebo. Again, being able to ask for help when you need it. And it's clearly suggesting that you might need to do that here with what you're doing, no matter what it is. Again, the overall numerology for the reading is 5. That's taken with the 7 from Gebo, 5 from the Hierophant, 7 from the 7 of Pentacles, and the 4 from the Emperor. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice here today. Oh boy, that lid's not on. My tea. Uh-oh. But at the same time, collectively that comes down to, I guess I better take some tea here. But collectively, that's about 5. So again, 5 is about change, protection, innovation, variety, freedom versus restriction. And again, freedom would be Puella, and restriction might be Gebo. Where again, things are more balanced, they're a little more structured, higher awareness based, to where you do see the overall effect of your behavior and of your actions and of your choices. And again, at this point, maybe a little more restriction instead of a little more freedom, especially if you're so, you're missing some of the nuances of what you need to do, the subtle aspects of it. Just maybe a little tweaking, is all that's necessary. But again, it can, if you don't do that, then the changes that happen for you may not be what you were really hoping for. The changes in terms of success and a change in your circumstances and your material security. Because with the 7, it basically is saying the reading is about that. It's about material security. So that's why I say it's probably related to something either job related, or if you're starting a business, or you have a business and you're not really sure how things are progressing. You think maybe it should be more successful than it is. There could be something about that you're missing, and you're so focused on too much of the surface stuff, and you're not seeing the real nuts and bolts of it. You're missing something there, and getting some advice might help you with that. And then again, taking a practical and measured approach to what you're doing, to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And then you'll see that you might be a little more able to manifest the success that you want to have here, and to get the kind of material or financial security that you're looking for. So. And again, if you look at Gebo from the standpoint of Kenaz in all directions, and you think of that as the light or clarity, or if you think that as the torch, so the light emanating out in all directions, then you're seeing everything, aren't you? And it suggests here that maybe when in the 7 of Pentacles, when the farmer's taking stock, maybe he's thinking, did I miss something? Do I really have enough? Am I going in the right direction? So that I am successful and I can have some material security for myself and my family. So you do that in full clarity, not at the point where you're only seeing the superficial aspects of it. You've got to see the whole thing. So maybe someone can point something out to you, and you can think, oh, that's what I haven't done. I need to focus a little more on that. So again, you're making these decisions in full clarity of all of this, and that's why I say that Gebo is a very intentional type of a rune, where you're expressing that balanced energy exchange with others, or even within the self, in full clarity and in full light, so that you understand all aspects of it, instead of maybe becoming so caught up in the process that you're maybe on a more superficial level than you need to be. So anyhow, that's it. If you celebrate Thanksgiving, and you're doing that with family or family and friends or whatever, be safe about it. COVID's still in the air, of course, as we all know. And, if you're just staying home with your family or your partner or what have you, have a lovely day, and enjoy the abundance that Thanksgiving represents. If you're cooking a turkey, that's certainly an expression of abundance, or a ham, or whatever you want to do. We do both. One time we might do a turkey, one time we might do a ham. I've done that a few times, and it's kind of a different take on Turkey Day when you do a ham, but that's okay. It's kind of nice to do that. It's just because they're big, and so it represents abundance, I guess. I don't know. You have all the food and everything, and and you. And then of course you just sort of collapse on the chair, collapse on the couch when all is said and done, and just it's like, God, did I really eat that much? Because you can't really get up and move anyway. So there you are. And I don't know, I guess we think that's a positive thing. I don't know. But if you are with family and it's a positive time, because I know sometimes being with family on holidays can be really stressful. But if it is, then think about Gebo, and just think about being in balanced energy exchange with others, and think about Puella, where just not take things too seriously, and kind of let things roll off, and maybe if Uncle so and so's starting to mouth off about something, just go up and give him a hug. It'll totally mess up whatever's going on in his head. He will have no idea what he was talking about. All of a sudden he's hugging you, and maybe some of the kids come up and hug him, and just give him a lot of love, and maybe it'll help him settle down. Because I think that being around family at the holidays, there's all this past stuff that comes into play, and grudges that are held, and you try to tell yourself it's not true, but then there you are, right? And so it's just one of those things where you kind of have to stay really positive, and be the light in the room, and see just how much of a positive effect it has on the get together, if that's going on. But otherwise, if you're with your family, this can be a wonderful day just to share a meal, and talk about what's going on in your lives, and don't talk about politics, though, and not these days. And just try to have a really wonderful time with your family and friends. And again, but be safe. Be safe about it. If you got to wear masks, wear them. Don't think twice. Just have the wonderful rest of the week. If you have the whole week off, that's awesome. Some people do, but some people they travel on Wednesday, and so you'll have the last 3 days of the week off to just sort of have a good time, and express love to one another, and hide the knives. I don't know. Anyway. This is a tumultuous time in our country, so at least, or it can be, depending upon how you structure things, and so just be careful, and just try to be in a loving mindset. And again, if someone starts to get off track, sometimes just walking over and giving them a big hug just sort of changes everything. So try to and if you don't want to do that, that's fine too. But anyway, thanks for watching. And again, if you haven't clicked subscribe, I hope you'll do that. And come back next Monday, in this case, for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.